Ah, yes. The Capcom crossover fighting series. People like me love these games for one reason and one reason only. They're epic crossovers! Ever since I played X-Men vs. Street Fighter and Marvel vs. Capcom in the arcade, I've been hooked on this series. And when I found out about this game that it was coming out for the Wii in Japan, I just had to import this game. And boy, was it worth the import. What game is this exactly? This game is known as none other than Tatsunoko vs. Capcom Cross Generation of Heroes. It features characters from the Tatsunoko universe as well as everyone's favorite Capcom characters. Well, some of them at least. But since this is a review in English, I believe an important question needs to be answered. What exactly is Tatsunoko? Tatsunoko is a studio in Japan that produced various classic animes such as Gatchaman, aka Battle of the Planets, and G-Force in the US, Tekkaman, Casshern, Time Bokan, aka Yatterman, Hurricane Palomar, Ipatsuman, Gold Lightan, and recent anime such as Karas and Casshern Sins. They've also produced a series in the 60s called Mach Go Go Go, which almost all of us know as Speed Racer for the rest of the world. Capcom signed a deal with Tatsunoko in 2008 to make a crossover fighting game, and thus, Tatsunoko vs. Capcom was released. But how good is it? Let's find out. So here we are in the main menu, and as you notice, the game has plenty of cool features as well as a random Time Bokan Yatterman villain briefly explaining what each feature does. It is a nice thing that Tatsunoko did though. Anyway, in the main menu you have Arcade Mode, the main gameplay mode, Versus Mode where you play against a friend in different matches, Survival Mode where you fight endlessly until you lose, Time Attack Mode to test how fast you fight in the 8 levels, Training Mode obviously, Play Data which is your ranking and score, so I don't need to discuss that, Options which is obviously your settings and such, Shop for buying unlockables, Galley for scans and clips, and Original Games aka mini games. And I'm not surprised. I'll discuss the mini games later, but I'll mostly get into the first 5 modes to discuss the main gameplay. Right away, you'll notice that this game has a solid roster. It has a total of 22 characters to choose from, 11 from Tatsunoko, 11 from Capcom. And like all previous Capcom crossover games, it's tag team based, so you can select 2 of your best fighters. However, this does not work with Gold Lightan and PTX-40A, as they are too powerful to have a partner. So finally, we get into the action, and as you can see, graphics wise, it is a step up from not only most Wii fighting games, but the other vs. Capcom games as well. You are looking at a fantastic 2.5D fighting experience like never before on the Wii. Another cool thing about this game is that you get to play this game in 5 different controls. Wiimote sideways, Wiimote and nunchuck, classic controller, gaming controller, and the Tatsunoko vs. Capcom horror stick, which is sold separately. I personally think the best way is either the Wiimote sideways or the classic controller, but if you want a real arcade style experience, go with the Hori stick. And with these controls, and your force filled up, you can pull off incredible combos and special attacks that you don't normally see in your typical Wii fighting game. And best of all, this game feels pretty fast paced with the exception of a few characters of course. From Capcom, the fighters I recommend using are Ryu, Chun-Li, and Batsu, as they have a nice moveset, especially Ryu, who is already a champion. Again is good, but not one of the best. Alex and Soki have pretty good attacks, but they're kinda slow. Mega Man, Volna, and Beautiful Joe and Saki are okay, I guess. And Roll is the worst one, and because she's weak and completely useless. I lost many times because of her. As for Tatsunoko, I recommend using Candy Eagle, Tekkaman, Yatterman 1, Karas, Casshern, and Ipatsuman. As for Doronjo and Hakusho Daimao, They were funny in their respective shows, but they flat out suck as much as Roll does in this game. As for the right team, Ryu and Ken the Eagle are at the top of my list as I use them more often than anybody else. But I also think Tekkaman and Batsu make an excellent team, as well as Ipatsuman and Karas, and Jun the Swan and Chun-Li. But if you want to go with all power, PTX-40A is the best choice in that part. I mean, don't get me wrong, Gold Lightan is an awesome fighter to use as well, but PTX-40A is better. Although Gold Lightan looks a lot better because of his gold design. Another thing I love about this game is the music. It features remixes and remakes of the theme songs of their respective characters, although I wish they added the original ones as well. Here's an example. I also love the original BGM from this game, especially the opening theme. In terms of difficulty, the game is well balanced no matter which difficulty you pick. However, when you fight Yami, the last boss in the arcade mode, he is a cheap bastard. And I mean he is cheap on any difficulty except easy, obviously. You may survive the first 2 rounds, but his final form is a real bitch to beat because of this. God, I hate that. And unless you're playing this on easy, your best way to beat this final form is with Ryu and Yatterman 1. Otherwise, you're screwed big time. Even though Ryu and Ken are the best teams together, Ken doesn't stand a chance against Yami's final form. Also, good luck trying to beat him without continues because that's virtually impossible to do. So I just suggest you practice really hard on survival mode, time attack, and especially training mode if you want to get a really high score. But if you're lucky enough to beat him with any character, you get a different ending for each of them. And these endings contain anime-style cutscenes, and I believe the voices of the Tatsunoko characters were replaced by the original Seiyu. At least most of them, I think. So after completing or getting far in the game to get a high score, you receive points for buying stuff in the shop. Here you can purchase poster scans, profiles of characters, and clips from the game to view in gallery mode. And if you're lucky to have enough points and beat the game in a certain way, you get to unlock a hidden character. But don't expect to unlock a whole bunch of them because there's only 4 you need to unlock, and really, there's only 2 out of the 4 characters that impress me. And that is Ipatsuman and Joe, but I like Ipatsuman more. Plus you can unlock hidden minigames, which is what I'm about to discuss right now. First thing I gotta say about this is that it really doesn't add much to the game. I'm sure most of the people who are anticipating this game didn't really give a shit about the minigames, but that doesn't mean all of them are bad. To me it's a mixed bag because some of them are good and some are not. I think the most fun minigames are Ryu's Hadouken practice, Doronjo's coin collecting game, Tekkaman's slicing in the sky game, Batsu's game where you press the correct button pattern, Ken's shooting game, and PTX-40A's retro style shoot 'em up game. But there were motion control problems I encountered with certain minigames. Here are some examples. In Jun's minigame where you glide for points, the controls are awfully sensitive. In Cashern's minigame, the controls barely respond. And in Morrigan's minigame where you slam your opponent from the sky, I swing down like it says on the screen, and nothing happens. I've tried this many times and it's still a problem. The rest of the game is just nothing special. On a positive note, playing certain minigames helps you unlock extra content for the gallery mode, but then again, I don't really see that as a must. Why this game lacks online is beyond me. If Capcom is afraid of laggy online like Super Smash Bros. Brawl had the first time, they shouldn't be because they can tweak it and make it better. And it's been proven that with games like Mario Kart Wii, Excitebots, and the Conduits. But you know, even though it lacks online, I think all the fun in arcade and versus mode make up for that. Hey, if you're not satisfied with no online, bring a friend over and kick his ass because obviously versus mode is the best thing to play in the game. So overall, this is one of the best fighting games on the Wii, if not the best Wii fighting game next to Guilty Gear. Even if it's not perfect, I still think it's worth buying even if the import costs over $80. I highly recommend it even if you're not familiar with Tatsunoko Productions. I give Tatsunoko vs. Capcom for the Wii a 4 out of 5. And if you think this game is only available in Japan, think again. On January 26, 2010, this game is coming to the US under the name Tatsunoko vs. Capcom Ultimate All-Stars. It was announced at E3. When it comes out, I'll do a follow-up to this review. But if you don't want to wait that long to get it, then by all means import it, if you got the money. Anyway, thank you for watching, and I hope you stay tuned for more Wii reviews in the near future.